My name is Atsuya Matsumoto from the University of Tokyo, and I'm excited to present our research on how physical touch by an embodied virtual agent can enhance the acceptability of advice. With the development of large language models, we are increasingly relying on AI through spoken dialogue for guidance in everyday tasks, whether it's scheduling, information retrieval, or decision support. In virtual reality, these agents are embodied and can communicate with nonverbal cues that are crucial for building trust. However, speech recognition errors can undermine trust. When users encounter frequent misunderstandings, for example, when the agent says, "I'm sorry, I don't understand. Please say it again," the resulting frustration can lower confidence in the agent's capabilities and diminish users' willingness to accept its advice. Previous research demonstrates that nonverbal cues, such as facial expressions and gestures, can help repair trust after errors occur. For example, facial expressions conveying remorse enhance the effectiveness of an apology. However, while these cues improve the agent's human-like qualities and the impact of an apology, they do not always fully restore user trust. Social touch is another nonverbal cue that is closely related to human perception and behavior. It is known to induce positive emotional states, reduce stress, and promote prosocial behavior in human-agent interactions. In the context of embodied virtual agents within VR, we define social touch as a form of nonverbal communication through physical interaction. In our study, we proposed using social touch as a means to restore trust that has been diminished by speech recognition errors. We also examined whether such touch influences decision-making processes based on trust and emotional states. We formulated 3 research questions to guide the design and analysis of our experiment. 1. Does touch with physical feedback repair trust? 2. Does it influence decision-making behavior? 3. Does it affect emotional states in the presence of errors? Our experiment comprised several stages. First, participants received instructions and completed a tutorial. Next, we recorded a baseline for physiological measurements and subjective emotions. Participants then engaged in a conversational task with the agent, where some conditions contained voice recognition errors. Finally, they proceeded to a decision-making task involving the agent's advice, allowing us to measure changes in behavior. The process from baseline to the decision-making task was repeated for each condition. We utilized a 2x2 within-subject design with 24 participants. The factors were touch condition, physical versus visual-only speech recognition, error versus no error. The agent was presented in a VR environment. Participants wore a head-mounted display and conversed with the agent via scripted prompts. In the physical touch condition, a robotic arm lightly stroked the participant's hand in synchrony with the agent's virtual hand movement. In the visual touch condition, the agent's hand was visible in VR, but no physical contact occurred. Instead, the agent's virtual hand stroked the participant's virtual hand in virtual reality. In the error conditions, speech recognition failures were introduced at predefined intervals, eliciting short apologies from the agent. Participants experienced all 4 conditions in a counterbalanced, randomized order. To simulate the agent's touch, we utilized a robotic arm fitted with a plastic hand attachment. The robotic arm was fitted with a plastic hand attachment. It performed a gentle stroking motion at approximately 5 centimeters per second across the back of the participant's hand, a speed associated with a pleasant tactile sensation. We also incorporated safety mechanisms. The arm applied minimal force, and an experimenter could halt it immediately if necessary. Participants interacted with our agent within a fully immersive virtual environment. During the conversation, every time the agent spoke, it also delivered a gentle touch on the back of the participant's hand using a synchronized robotic arm. The conversation simulated a natural, daily exchange over 6 turns. In the error condition, a voice recognition error was introduced every 2 turns, prompting the agent to apologize. This design allowed us to systematically assess the impact of both speech errors and physical touch on user experience. Next, we will briefly show how the participant interacts with the agent in VR.
I'm sorry, I don't understand. Please say it again.
Based on our research questions, we set our main measurements: trust, decision-making, and emotion. Due to limited presentation time, we will focus on 3 key measurements: trust, measured using the MDMT scale, which consists of two components: performance trust and moral trust. Performance trust reflects the extent to which users believe the agent is competent and capable of accurately performing its intended tasks. Moral trust assesses whether users feel the agent behaves ethically and considers their best interests. Influence on decision-making, quantified by the degree to which participants' final decisions shifted toward the agent's advice. Performance rating, assessed based on how participants rated both their own and the agent's estimation accuracy. I will explain influence on decision-making and performance rating later. Detailed methods for additional measurements and analysis can be found in the paper. The decision-making task, participants first saw two spheres displayed consecutively in VR. Then, they estimated the position of a third sphere that should be placed at the same distance as the first two. After participants recorded an initial estimate of the sphere's position, the agent presented an alternative estimate as advice. Based on the agent's suggestion, participants then made a final decision by adjusting their initial estimate. We quantified influence by measuring the extent to which participants' final estimate moved closer to the agent's suggested position, relative to their initial estimate. Additionally, at the end of each decision-making task, participants completed a questionnaire on performance rating. This questionnaire did not assess actual estimation accuracy, but rather measured participants' perceived accuracy of both their own and the agent's estimates using a 10-point scale. We will now show a short clip of a participant performing this task.
Isn't the ball here? Isn't the ball here?
Regarding trust, speech recognition errors consistently reduced performance and moral trust. However, physical touch did not significantly mitigate this decrease. Thus, trust diminished by errors was not restored by adding touch with haptic feedback alone. In contrast, participants in the physical touch condition showed a tendency to accept the agent's advice, regardless of whether errors occurred. This suggests that physical touch increased compliance with the agent's suggestions, even when trust was not repaired. When asked to rate estimation accuracy, their performance ratings did not differ significantly across conditions. Nevertheless, the agent's performance rating was significantly higher in the absence of errors and when physical touch was present, implying that both touch and error-free interactions enhanced perceptions of the agent's competence. These findings indicate that physical touch alone did not repair trust when speech recognition errors occurred. Possible reasons include the lack of warmth in the provided tactile feedback and an insufficient signal of remorse. Additionally, touch still influenced participants' decisions, suggesting an effect similar to the Midas touch phenomenon, where people unconsciously comply more when touched. We interpret this as an increase in perceived competence of the agent, which can encourage users to accept its advice. However, the negative impact on trust caused by errors was not resolved simply by physical touch, highlighting the need for other strategies, such as improved error handling or more context-specific nonverbal cues, to effectively repair trust. In conclusion, our study shows that physical touch by the agent in VR by itself does not lead to repair trust after speech recognition errors, but does increase acceptance of advice. Thank you for your attention.